What's up guys, it's Andrew at EliteGamingHQ. I'm back with another video for you today, and today we're testing Assassin's Creed Origins. We'll be doing this test with a GTX 1080. We're going to be testing in 1080p, 1440p, and 4K, so stay tuned.
Elite Gaming.
Alright, before we get into the video, I would just like to say if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and hit that bell at the bottom to join our notification squad. We're actually doing a giveaway right now for all the notification squad members, and that will be for Shadow of War, couple Steam gift cards, some other games. I'll put the link to that video below in the comments. And something else new, we started a Discord a week ago. You can join that through your phone or your PC. I'll put an invite for that below. And in this video, we are testing with a GTX 1080, and if you would like to see this game tested and ran on a GTX 1050 Ti, then be sure to visit my friend's channel, Santiago. He does a very good analysis and will break down all the graphical settings on multiple different resolutions. So the links to the giveaway, the Discord, and Santiago's channel will be pinned in the first comment below. Be sure to check him out. But now let's get into the benchmarks for this video.
You look at me like that again, I'll put your eye out.
Firstly, the system I'm using here is a Ryzen 7 1700X, overclocked to 4.0 GHz, 16 GB of DDR4 2400, and of course our GTX 1080 8GB Strix model. This will be our test system for today. How we compiled these numbers is I used fraps, and what I like to do is I like to run fraps for 180 seconds and just play the game. I like to play a mission or an area that I can repeat so that all the results will be even, and I feel like 180 seconds gives you a good demonstration of what the game's going to offer. Now I must add there is also an in-game benchmarking tool, which usually I don't like to use these because a lot of times they have hitches in them or they're just not optimized the way the game runs, and they kind of give you results that you might not normally see in the game. But we will revisit that in just a second. So first we're going to test in 1080p. In 1080p I tested in ultra high and very low, and the reason I used these two settings because I was pretty sure that ultra high would be no problem for the GTX 1080, and very low because I wanted to get a standard of numbers and also compare that to the in-game benchmark. So for ultra high, we got an average of 73 FPS, a minimum of 62, and a max of 94. So as you would imagine, this game is easily run by the GTX 1080 and 1080p. But our very low numbers were 109 average, a minimum of 90, and a max of 139. Now the reason I use these two presets is so I can compare them to the in-game benchmark, and it was pretty spot on, which is surprising to me because that's not a lot of times the case. Even as far back as Metro Last Light, that benchmark had a problem where it would drop even the strongest systems down to its knees into single digits, and the game would never actually do that. But in ultra high, the in-game benchmark matched our 73 average FPS, and in very low, it had 101 FPS. So this is telling me that it's only a small percentage off of the numbers we're actually getting, which makes it a very good tool to demonstrate how the CPU and GPU are running the game and how they're working together, because since this game has disabled overlays, we can't really use an afterburner or anything like that. But rest assured, by watching the benchmark, I've seen that this game is pretty well optimized, and at 1080p at least, it uses both equally, which is a good sign because 1080p will be the most CPU intensive test that we do. As we go further up the resolution, it's going to be more GPU bound. So let's go into 1440p. 1440p Ultra, we got an average of 57, a minimum of 50, and a max of 68. Now because I'm going to be gaming in 1440p, this is my preferred gaming resolution. I like to sit 24 to 30 inches away and lock at 60 FPS. So to achieve that 60 FPS, we drop our tensillation down and our AA down just one slider from high to medium, we reload the game, and we get an average of 64, a minimum of 56, and a max of 85. This to me is perfect. You will not really see the drop between 60 and 56, as well as something to take in consideration. When you play a game like this and you lock its FPS at something lower than average, your GPU and your CPU, or whatever bottleneck you have, are working the hardest to get you that average. So they're always running as high as they can. But if you use something like VSync and it's slightly lower, when you do hit the hitch that's going to drop it to the 56, let's say, it might not even do it at all because it has the available resources to pick up that hitch that it would have had because you're not running at full steam. This is something that you should take in consideration when you either want to lock your game at 30 or 60 FPS. The lows are really not going to be as significant if your average is higher than the average that you're locking it at. I hope that makes sense. So as I said, for me, this is the way that I will be playing this game. 1440p and a modified ultra high. Alright, next let's go to 4K. Now obviously this game is not going to be able to run at 60 FPS and 4K ultra high, but we're going to test it anyway. So in ultra high, we got an average of 35, a minimum of 32, and a max of 41. These are very solid numbers. This is good news because this means that you can lock your game at 30 FPS, sit back on your couch at like 5 or 6 feet away from your TV with a controller, and you'll still have an amazing 4K experience. Cutting from 30 to 60 FPS is not that noticeable when you're further away. I mean, consoles have been doing it for years and no one even seemed to mind. But if that is how you choose to do your game, this game will run in 4K, 30 FPS, no problem. But let's see what we have to do to get our 60 FPS. So very high. Well, I tested very high and I got little to no change at all. Running the test multiple times, didn't really achieve any different results. So we're just gonna pass very high. We'll go straight to high. With high, as you see why very high didn't do much, we got 38 FPS on the average, 35 on the minimum, and a max of 41. Now compare that to the ultra, you're only a couple frames difference. So let's drop down to medium. On medium, we have a 45 average, a 41 minimum, and a 52 max. Still solid numbers, but not really where we want to be. So let's go down to low. Low, we got a 55 average, a 51 medium, and a 64 max. Even on low, we're unable to achieve our 60 FPS. So lastly, let's go down to very low. And on the very low preset, we got an average of 57, a low of 53, and a max of 66. But once again, this is one of those situations that if you try to lock your FPS at 60, you might be alright, but the average is below 60, so you might deal with some issues. My advice would be just to play the game in 1440p. The game looks beautiful, and honestly what I take out of it is there's not much of a difference between ultra and medium. They kind of look very similar. So in conclusion, is it one of the better games that we have optimized this year or not? I would have to say it is, because something like PUBG or Wildlands that just destroys systems, and then you have a game like this, or the previous game I did was Shadow of Mordor. These two games are running very optimally compared to those other games. So hopefully we're out of the woods of shitty ports and unoptimized games for PC. And a lot of people complain about that sort of thing. The PC still runs it better than the console in almost every scenario, but it doesn't run as good as we want it to. But as for this game, it's doing pretty well. If you guys are interested in any of my Shadow of War benchmarks, just look back in the playlist, you'll find them. And I also have a full playlist for PUBG. I tested PUBG in the 1050, the 1050 Ti, the RX 580, the GTX 1070, the GTX 1080, the GTX 1060. I tested that game with almost everything. And I also made a video of a nice cheap computer you can build that if you just wanted to play PUBG. So like I said before guys, if you're new, subscribe, hit that notification button, join our Discord, check out Santiago, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. My name is Andrew, and this is Elite Gaming HQ. Thanks for watching, guys.